Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another sweet build. So today I'm sharing another Vampire Diaries build with you all and I'm very excited. So a couple of weeks ago I shared the very first Vampire Diaries build that I did, and that was Elena Gilbert's house, so the Gilbert residence. Obviously that had to be the first one that I wanted to tackle because I feel like it may be the most iconic house from the show. I mean, of course, there's also the Salvatore boarding house, which is iconic. There is definitely some pretty iconic buildings or houses in that show, but I felt like the Gilbert one had to be the first one, you know? And then the Forbes residence, which is the one that we're doing today, has actually been very high on my list. I do think that the Forbes residence was actually the house that I saw a picture of that made me want to start this series in the first place, which I know is wild because I don't feel like it's the most iconic house from the show, but I saw a picture of it and I really liked how it looked. And I will say I was going into this a little bit too confident because I had seen a picture of the facade of the house and it looked simple enough. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I can do it. That's a cute house. I can do that. That shouldn't be too hard to do, like shape-wise, roof line-wise. That doesn't look too complicated. Little did I know that was gonna come back to bite me in the butt because this house was very difficult to do because it's such like a realistic normal house. Well, it's not normal, it's kind of huge, honestly. It's very nice and grand and stuff, and what makes it difficult is that it is a one-story house, but it is also just really big. So I ended up with this gigantic box of a house that I then also had to roof and kind of make that make sense. So this was definitely so much more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I did have a lot of fun with this. I really like how this came together. And this house, Caroline's house, is actually an Airbnb in real life. It's located in Covington, Georgia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's in Covington, Georgia. And it's actually an Airbnb that you can rent out. So it was in that regard pretty easy to find reference pictures and house tours on YouTube and stuff, because I mean, obviously a lot of Vampire Diaries fans have been and have filmed house tours of the place, and it looks really beautiful and just really cute. And the house is just so much bigger than you think it would be if you just saw a picture of the front of the house. From the front of the house, it just looks like a really cute, quaint little place. It's not small. It is definitely very big. It has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and then a gigantic kitchen, living room type situation. It also has a formal dining room, and then it also has a formal living room. So there's definitely a bunch of rooms here. There's a butler's pantry, a laundry space that is really small. And then Caroline's bedroom in the back has a gigantic ensuite. Caroline definitely got the best room of this house. I don't know what Sheriff Forbes, her mom, was thinking, but Caroline, the 16-year-old, got the most gigantic bedroom with a gigantic ensuite. It's so big. So then again, Sheriff Forbes' bedroom, which is located more out front, has a Jack and Jill and then a bedroom on the other side that I turned into an office for her. So that ended up being an extra bedroom / office. So I guess that Caroline's mom has the entire front suite of the house with a bedroom, Jack and Jill bathroom, and then an office on the other side that is also an extra bedroom. So I mean, I feel like it makes sense, but yeah, it's a pretty big house for just the two of them. It's just the two of them living in this house, mind you. So yeah, they have a lot of space, but I feel like that's the case for all the houses in the Vampire Diaries. All these characters live in insane houses. What is going on? Everyone lives in a mansion, so it's kind of insane, but I really like it. I think the houses are really pretty. And I just thought that this one was so much fun to build. It was a journey. I can just tell you that one for free. It was definitely a journey. The roofing on this house was insane. I did not have a good, well, actually I did have a good time. I was building this over on Twitch. It was really fun. But as I was working on the roofing, I was like, oh, now I'm just I was looking at the pictures and I thought I had it all figured out in my brain, how it was gonna look, roofing wise and stuff. And then I started building this and I was like, oh, wait, it doesn't even make sense what I had in my mind. So, you know, it's just, it turned out a little bit different, but it was really fun to come as close to the original house as possible. Obviously, I'm just taking some creative freedom here and there as well, because yes, we're building this house and I want it to be close to what it actually looks like. But at the same time, we're also just like redoing, like we're doing a Sims version, if you will. So I want to take some creative freedom to actually make this look cute in the game as well, and actually have it be playable and have it not be too gigantic, but you know, all those things like kind of taking into consideration, and then trying to come up with whatever is the happy medium there. And I feel like this turned out really fun. I did take some creative freedom with the roof. For the most part, it makes sense, but I also know that when you're looking at the floor plan of the house, the little bump out front that is attached to Caroline's mom's bedroom, the way I'm incorporating it in the floor plan is not quote unquote correct, I don't think. The way I did it, it doesn't make sense, as in it's not completely accurate to what it looks like in real life. But it's just what looked best in The Sims and how I could make it all flow together nicely. So that's just what I ended up doing. But then they do have this like massive front porch that I really like. They also have a swing on the porch, like a porch swing, just like the Gilbert residence does. So I figured I could just redo that same trick and like create a cute little swing on the front porch that turned out really cute. And then they also have a back porch that I couldn't really find any reference for. So I just kind of went off of my own imagination and just kind of tied it into the house in a way that I thought would look cute in The Sims. So that's what I did, and I was actually really happy to discover that there was a back porch, because I really wanted there to be something there, like some sort of a backyard or back porch to kind of make it feel a little bit more realistic. And I was kind of going through the videos of the house tours for this Airbnb and like pictures and things, and I saw that off of the butler's pantry there's actually a back door, and also off of the kitchen there is a sliding glass door onto something. So I can only imagine that that's probably going to be like a back porch. So that's what I decided to include here. And then for the rest, it is just like, you know, a white siding. This house to me feels like very clean and just really, I don't know, just like really neat and beautiful. And I was kind of trying to channel my 2010 kind of, you know, like a 2010 vibe for like decorations and stuff like that. But also when I was decorating this house, I was mostly just vibing, because like I said, for reference, I was going off of pictures of the Airbnb and stuff and videos that I could find. But also I find it to be very scarcely decorated. Like there's not a whole lot of furniture in the house the way it's decorated right now from what I could see in pictures and videos. And I really wanted it to look very lived in and like an actual family home. I mean, there's only 2 people living here, but I feel like these people have friends and stuff over all the time. So I feel like a lot goes on in this house still. But it's essentially only 2 people living here. But yeah, I still wanted this to look very lived in and just a little bit more like a house, like a home, I guess. And that's not really what the Airbnb pictures were given. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but I just felt like it was very empty, you know? So I really wanted to kind of take that and like make it more cozy. So that's what I did. But for a lot of the furniture pieces and colors, I definitely went off of the pictures that I could find. I know in the show it looks a little different, as in I think there's like different wallpapers, probably some different furniture pieces, but I do feel like the hallway in this house is a pretty classic or a pretty iconic location, because that's where stuff is filmed when Caroline actually turns into a vampire. So a lot of stuff is filmed in that hallway. So there's some pretty good screenshots and like stills of the show from shots that were shot in that hallway. So that was kind of fun to see. But yeah, I kind of, like I said, I just kind of went for a happy medium between the Airbnb, the way it's decorated right now, snippets from what I could find from the actual show, and then whatever I thought would look cute in the actual game. Still trying to like embrace the characters. I really like how Caroline's bedroom came together. I feel like that one's so cozy. And I feel like it would definitely fit 16, 17-year-old Caroline, you know, just her bubbly personality. I love Caroline. I think she is one of my favorite characters, actually, from this entire show. I just feel like she's really, really fun and just, you know, such a different energy. I just really like her character. I think she's really, really cool. So yeah, I just really enjoyed decorating decorating her bedroom and trying to make it fit her like somewhat bubbly personality. And even though she obviously matures throughout the show, I feel like she remains that like bubbly, fun person in a way that she was when you first get to know her in the show, even though she can kind of be a little annoying at first in the early episodes, like early seasons. But that turns around, and I just think that she's such a fun character. I love her so much. So yeah, we are kind of done with the exterior of the house, and I'm starting to decorate the porch. And this is just kind of where I copied over that porch swing trick that I did when I decorated the Gilbert residence, obviously, because they also have a classic porch swing. So I copied that one over and did it here as well. What I could see on pictures is they have like a blue front door. I mean, in some pictures it looks more gray. I'm not exactly sure, but I felt like this front door from the Adventure Awaits expansion pack worked really well here on this house. Like the white frame, or like the beige cream kind of frame, and then the white door, or the blue door, sorry. I think it looks just really fun. And they also have like a sliding glass door onto the front porch as well, off of the living room. It's so fun when you're creating real life homes and in The Sims, and like it makes you kind of, at least for me, it makes you make choices and like do things in a way where you normally wouldn't if you were just building a house in The Sims, and go for your like everyday choices that you would do for building. At least for me personally, like I think it's really fun that they have a front door and then also a sliding door onto the front porch. That isn't something I would normally do. Like I would just go for a front door and then maybe like a side door and a back door, but never like another door onto the front porch, if that makes sense. Not in this way anyway. But I feel like it works really well for this house, and this just happens every single time you try to do a real house in The Sims. It looks so easy to do, as in the houses look so real because they are real, and it kind of makes you think, oh, I can do this in The Sims. And then you start building it in The Sims and you come to realize that the size proportions and stuff are just so different in this game. So it can definitely give you a hard time. This house, for example, has a massive hallway. I would never do it this way because they have like a massive hallway, which I think is really pretty. Like I had so much fun decorating this, but then they have that living room off to the side that's only like very small and kind of cramped. And then I know that's just a formal living room, and then they have like a kitchen with a larger like sectional sofa and all that kind of stuff. So I could have easily done like a full-on living room in there as well. So they have multiple spaces, you know, but still like it feels so like, why is the hallway so huge? And then the formal living room so tiny, and then the formal dining room is kind of small as well, you know, but it was kind of fun. And it was such a process to have it all come together, but I feel like in the end, I really like how this floor plan feels and like how it flows. I was gonna say it feels so realistic, but I mean, that's because it's based off of a realistic home. So yeah, I don't know. I just really like how this one came out, and I had a lot of fun with it. And there were some really, really good pictures of how the hallway is decorated. And can I just say that I loved using these sliding glass doors into, well, the back part of the hallway, but also into the living room. I think those sliding glass doors are so pretty. I used the one specifically from the Industrial Loft Kit is what they're from, I believe. And I think they're just so pretty. I barely ever use those doors anymore for some reason. I used to use them a lot when that kit or stuff pack, no, I think it's a kit actually, first came out. I used to use them a lot, and then I just kind of stopped using them because I wasn't really building any houses where they, I guess, fit the vibe, if you will. But for this house, they were perfect because this house actually has doors that are pretty much exactly like those. Would you call those like ensuite doors? I don't think so. I feel like there's a term for it that I'm not remembering, but I really, really like those sliding glass doors. They give the house such like a luxurious like look and feel, and it makes it feel so like fancy in a way, which I just think is really fun. So I started decorating this formal living room here, and one of the items that were pretty iconic that were in there is a piano. I could see that in all the pictures everywhere, so I obviously had to place a piano. There's also a lot of fireplaces in this house. There's a lot of fireplaces. There's a lot of potential fire hazards. So I will say, if you're actually going to download this house and play in it, I feel like it would be smart to kind of go through and maybe place fire alarms in every single room, because I didn't. I think I only placed a fire alarm in the kitchen, which in hindsight is not smart. I should have placed fire alarms in every single room, but it didn't really come to mind for some reason when I was building. I was just going for vibes and trying to make it look cozy. And I did not actually place fire alarms in all the rooms, but I should have. So, you know, if you're going to actually play in this house, I strongly recommend doing that. There's a fireplace in the formal living room, in the dining room, and then in Caroline's bedroom as well. So there's 3 fireplaces in total in this house. You know, in my game at least, all my Sims always autonomously, whenever I have autonomy on, they always want to turn on the fireplace. They just always do it, and then I don't realize that they've done it. And then before you know it, there's fireplaces going for like 3 days straight. And then, you know, at some point in time, something will catch fire, and it's just like really not fun. Or, I mean, it's chaos and it's kind of fun in that way, but you don't want your entire house to burn down. It's not fun when you don't have a fire alarm nearby. I can tell you that one for free. So I feel like that would be smart to do that. But yeah, I really like how this living room is coming together. It just feels so snug. In the pictures that I could find, they did not have a side table with a TV, but this was going to be the only room or like living room space with a TV, the way I'm decorating this place. So I decided to just place one in there, make space for it. And I feel like it looks pretty good on a diagonal in the corner. I don't know, I just really like how that room came together. The color of the couch, I feel like, comes pretty close to what I could see in pictures. It's like a pink, kind of dusty pink or like dusty red pink color that I really like. I would have normally never chose it, but I think it looks really good in there, so that was really fun to do. And then they also have that formal dining room with those like round pillars. It's kind of open to the hallway, and then it has those like round pillars. It actually has that, which I thought was so like fancy looking. So obviously I had to kind of recreate that in here as well. And then they have a beautiful fireplace in here. In real life, like the way this Airbnb is decorated, this dining room is very empty. It has a fireplace and then a table with a bench and a couple of chairs, and that's it. And there's a lot of dark brown and white. So I was kind of trying to do that here as well, but I, in the end, just really wasn't liking the white in here. So I just decided to embrace the warm, dark wood tones and just kind of go with that vibe. I feel like it looks really good in here. I love the dark brown wallpaper too. It just feels so like warm and cozy and like kind of like a warm hug. And so I did that, and I embraced the cats and dogs furniture pieces in here. I thought that looked really, really good. And the rug, I think, is that from Get Together? I'm not exactly sure what that rug is from. I believe it's from Get Together, but I could be lying. I think that looks really good in here as well. And I wanted to make this room look nice and used. So I placed some like cereal boxes on the table and like some other things to make it look like people are actually using the dining room. And then the kitchen, I could actually find really good reference pictures and videos for. So yeah, I feel like I recreated this one pretty well. Like it's pretty spot on. As spot on as you can get in The Sims, you know, because size proportions are a thing. Not everything is, you know, perfectly doable. We can't work with half tiles, which sometimes, you know, when you're building walls and stuff, sometimes you just need the room to be like a half tile bigger or smaller, which is unfortunately not a possibility. So maybe one day, but probably not. It's probably the mechanics of the game, you know? So that's just what it is. So you kind of have to take some creative freedom there as well. But I feel like the way this kitchen is laid out, I was able to get it pretty close to what it looks. I actually had to wiggle the layout or the shape of this room around a little bit. Like I had to play with the walls a little bit because they have that fridge, and then I could see that they have like some sort of closet or something. Like the wall comes out a little bit next to where the fridge is located. So I decided to just make that bump out a little smaller and then go for that, you know, that look and feel. And then I had the perfect spot for the sectional, which is actually what they have in the house right now. Not sure if they have that in the show too, but that's what they have in the house right now. I also feel like style-wise, this house is kind of all over the place because the formal living and the formal dining, I feel like, are very traditional when it comes to decor and furniture. Like it's a lot more traditional looking, and then all of a sudden this kitchen is very black and white, more modern, but definitely also has like that 2012 kind of look and feel over it in a way. So I thought that was really fun. Like I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's a really beautiful vibe, but I just feel like the black and white, like the white subway tiles, the black sectional sofa, you know, I just feel like somehow to me it feels a little 2010, 11, 12-ish. Maybe I'm just way off, but for some reason that's just what it feels like to me. And I decided to go for a full-on dining table in here. So we're just going to pretend that Sims can actually sit on that couch and then also use the table, which is not a thing in The Sims, obviously, but in real life it would be. And I placed some of those matching chairs around the table as well. And then I just went ahead and cluttered up the kitchen. One thing I thought was so fun are those jar hanging lights that I placed over the island. Those are very close, also color-wise, very close to what is in the Airbnb right now. And I feel like those jar lights are so 2010-ish, like around that time, right? For like lights. I remember that jar lights were all the rage back then. I think it was around that era, but I'm not exactly sure actually. But I do remember at some point in the past, jar lights were like all the rage. And we actually got them. I think those are from Laundry Day. I'm not sure, but that's also like a pretty old stuff pack at this point. So that was kind of fun to find some things that actually matched that 2010 era kind of aesthetic in this house. That was just really fun to do. And then for the rest, I was just cluttering up the kitchen to make it look a little bit more lived in. I think this kitchen is gorgeous with that warm wood floor, which is pretty close to the real floorboards that they have in nowadays anyway. So that looks just so good. And then it just really warms up the otherwise pretty like black and white kitchen. So that floor was just really helping. And I thought it was really pretty. And then off of the kitchen, they have this butler's pantry with some extra cabinets and storage and everything. So I just decided to place some appliances in here. We have a tea kettle, a mixer. I don't know. I could see Caroline being into baking. I don't know if Caroline is into baking, but I feel like Caroline would be into baking. You know what I mean? I could see her like bake things for her friends. She's just really sweet and considerate like that. So I feel like maybe she would do that. And then off of the butler's pantry, they actually have a really small washer and dryer kind of closet look and feel almost. So I just placed a stacked washer dryer. In real life, they actually have like the door in the middle and then a washer on one side and a dryer on the other, which is what I tried to do. But in The Sims, it just looked a little bit better this way. So I just went for stacked washer and dryer kind of thing. And then just some other little things like there's some storage in there, some Laundry Day stuff. And then on the other side, like off of the hallway, we have a really beautiful half bath, which I just think is just, it's so nice. I could have easily turned this into a full bathroom, but they don't have that in the house. So I figured, you know, let's stay true to what they actually have and let's just go for a half bath. So that's what I did. But I do think I'm really happy that I did that because it just looks really good. I'm loving the beige colors in here. That floor from the Grange mudroom combined with that high school years tile in brown and beige. I just feel like it's really pretty. A lot of beige for the bathrooms and things, which I feel like is pretty realistic for that era back then. And then after that, I am moving on to the bedrooms. So we have moved back to the front of the house where we first of all have Sheriff Forbes's bedroom, which is a smaller bedroom. It's still pretty spacious. I really like how this one came together, I will say. I think it's really nice. I love the blue and white moment in here. It just feels very nautical to me. And I don't know, I just think it's a really nice bedroom. It's fairly simple. There's not a whole lot to this room functionality-wise other than, you know, a bed to sleep in for your Sims. But I kind of wanted to stay true to the vibe of the Airbnb in a way where it just is kind of empty like that. And I still wanted it to feel lived in. So I placed some of those built-in bookcases, which is not what they have. I think there's some sort of like closet or something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense all the way with what the house actually looks like, but I have this like really perfect bump out kind of thing for some built-in bookcases that I repeated on the other side in the other room in the office as well. So I felt like that ended up working out really nicely and just feels very, you know, smooth and intentional, I guess you could say. But for the rest, this room is very simple. There's just a little dresser, a chair in the corner. I'm loving that chair, by the way. It's the same one I'm using in the formal living room, but in a different swatch. And that striped beige and blue was absolutely perfect for this bedroom. It was almost a little bit too perfect of a match, which then again is something that I really liked for this house, like the intentional matchy vibe. I don't know, I just really liked it. And then there is a Jack and Jill bathroom over here with a beautiful walk-in shower and a double sink, which is actually what they have in this house. I think this bathroom turned out to be a little bit smaller than what it is in real life. But then again, Sims size proportions, you know, you win some, you lose some. You just gotta have to take some creative freedom here and there. But I really like how this one came out. The beautiful walk-in shower and then the double sink. It was just, it worked out so nicely. And then I feel like that mirror also just really worked. I used it in the half bath also, and it's just really good. It's just a really good mirror. So yeah, I was happy I placed that. And then on the other side of Sheriff Forbes's Jack and Jill bathroom, if you will, there is another bedroom. In the Airbnb, this is just a shared bedroom with 2 single beds, but I felt like for a real house where people live, I thought that was, you know, for an extra bedroom. I don't know, maybe you would have 2 single beds, but I feel like you would probably have just like a double bed in here, right? For an extra bedroom. So that's what I did. And then for the rest, I really tried to decorate this as Sheriff Forbes's office. And Sheriff Forbes, well, you know, she's a police officer, she's the sheriff, so I do think she does most of her work at the police station, but I also felt like she would definitely have an office, right? So I'm not sure if she actually has an office or if it's ever shown in the actual show, but for the vibe of this house and for the storytelling, I felt like that would be realistic to have an office in here, so I decided to do that. And I tried to make it look very get-to-work-ish with those filing cabinets and some boxes with random things. She's probably busy researching the vampire history of Mystic Falls, you know what I mean? If you've watched the show, then you'll know what I'm talking about. She's very, very busy with that in the earlier seasons, obviously. So yeah, I had to give her a little office for that and like a little journal for her to write all her findings and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was fun. And then the final bedroom that I'm doing is Caroline's room. I think that in the Airbnb, this room also has a blue wallpaper or like blue paint on the wall. I just wanted something different in here because we have 2 blue bedrooms and like a blue living room as well. So I just wanted to do something a little different in here. So I went for a warmer like yellow beige color. I felt like that was nice. And then I really tried to decorate this room in a way that I thought Caroline would like. You know, I can't ask her, but I feel like she would like the vibes of this bedroom. I actually gave her a frame TV, which is very modern and not really very 2010, I don't think. But I felt like she would like that. So I really like the frame with the red roses. So I just decided to plonk that over top the fireplace. I think that looks nice. This 16-year-old girl has a fireplace in her bedroom. Can we just have a moment? Can we have a moment? Because it is so extra and I love it for her. It's just so nice. So yeah, she has that. I'm not sure if it's safe, but it's there. And I also gave her a desk. And this is not at all what the room looks like in the actual Airbnb right now, because I just really wanted this to feel like high school Caroline a little bit in a way. So that's what I try to sort of embrace here and kind of just go off of my own creativity and imagination for the space. But I really like it. I love that desk on a diagonal with a fuzzy chair. I feel like Caroline would love a fuzzy chair, you know, so I just decided to give that to her. She has her little makeup clutter, her little girly things around the room. I thought that would be so nice. The Polaroid pictures put up on the wall in the shape of a heart, you know, it's just so classic. I think I gave Elena that same decoration in Elena's bedroom because it's just so classic for the characters of this show. So I had to do that. And then she has an insane ensuite. It's so much bigger in real life even, but I just went for this layout. There's a walk-in shower, and then within the ensuite, there is a separate toilet in a separate room, which is, I feel like you see that a lot more like in American houses and like bigger ensuites and whatnot. To me, that's insane. To me, that's so fancy and like so beautiful, and it's just so good. So I had to kind of honor that. I know layout wise, it's not completely the same, but she does have that very dramatic tub on a diagonal. So I really wanted to honor that. There's supposed to be a double sink in here that really looks like those farm sinks from Horse Ranch. So I used one of them because I only had space for one. So I went ahead and did that anyway, just to kind of honor what the ensuite looks like in real life. And I just really, really like that dramatic tub on a diagonal by the windows. I just feel like it's so Caroline. And it just really worked, so I ended up placing that down. And then we have a back porch that I didn't have any reference for whatsoever, so I have no idea what it actually looks like in real life. But I just went ahead and made it functional for Sims gameplay. So I went ahead and placed a few bins out there and then just a dining table as well. It's off of the kitchen, so I feel like it makes sense to just have a nice dining table if you want to have dinner outside. I placed an easel for functionality, and then I just placed a couple of extra decorations, some little rugs and things, but then that's it. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you the house in real time. So here we have the house in the game. I love this crossover that's going on because I currently have Hagrid as a playtester sim for my Vampire Diaries house. I personally love that little crossover right there, but he is currently at work at his gardening job, so he's not home. Anyway, this is the house. I made it fall in my game. I just had to, and I think this looks absolutely gorgeous in the fall. Look at the colors. Copperdale is so insanely beautiful. I just really like it. I also want to take a moment and look at this ridiculous roof and how it looks from up above. Just look at that. It's kind of wild, but I'm really happy with how it came together in the end because I was struggling with this a lot. But I do think in the end, it kind of makes sense anyway. This back porch was really helping me out, so I really just placed that in a way where it would really help out my roofing. So I had some creative freedom there, thankfully. But for the most part, I don't know, I just really like how this house ended up looking. So out front here, we have this beautiful front porch, obviously. There is a porch swing, which this is actually functional. Sims can sit on this couch, even though it's still raised up a little bit. It's actually functional. And then there's a rocking chair, a little bench out front as well. And then going into the house here, you can see the floor plan. It's a pretty massive house with all the bedrooms over on one side, which I feel like is very realistic. A couple of bathrooms too, and then I guess the living quarters on the other end of the house. So first of all, we have this gigantic hallway with those sliding doors that are just so beautiful. A front door over here. I thought this phone was a really nice detail as well, so I placed that. A little bench out here, and then the hallway kind of continues over here as well, except this part of the hallway is just kind of open to the dining room on the other side. So I really like how the hallway is kind of split in two, if you will. But over on this side here, we have the formal living room. I love the dark wood tones. There's a cute piano and some board games. I could see Caroline and her mom playing board games sometimes, especially as they got along better later on in the show, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a fireplace here, some autumnal decorations, and I put a TV in the corner. And then through this hallway over here, of course, we have that formal dining room. It also has a fireplace, some storage, and just a nice 6-seater table. Through this archway over here, you enter into the kitchen. The kitchen's very black and white and kind of more modern in a way. And this layout is very interesting. I normally would have never placed the stove over on the side like this, but I really like how it looks and it's just what they have. So I went ahead and did that. There's an island in the middle. I cluttered it up a bunch, but then I left this counter over here free of clutter so your Sims can actually use it. Back here we have the fridge, and then over here we have that really nice sectional sofa that I paired with a dining table and a couple of chairs. And then there is a sliding door onto that back porch, of course. Through this archway over here is a butler's pantry, so we just have some extra storage over here. There is a second fridge. I thought that would just make so much sense, a fridge for drinks and all that kind of stuff. And then there is a little laundry space over here as well with just a washer and dryer, a laundry basket, and some storage. So going out back into the hallway, at the end of the hallway is a half bath, very luxurious and spacious. And then over here, let's start, I guess, with Caroline's room. I think this is my favorite room of the house. I feel like it looks so cozy. I love the colors and how warm it feels, and that desk moment I just really think is fun. So yeah, there's a nice double bed in here. It's very feminine, kind of girly in a way, a lot of flowery patterns, very cutesy. There's a fireplace in here with some knickknacks. There's a walk-in storage wardrobe closet over here that I just kept fairly simple, but it's there. And then there's another one over here that honestly I just placed because I wanted to take away a little bit of space from this half bath. So that gave me space for a sneaky extra closet. And then through this door is Caroline's very dramatic ensuite with a walk-in shower just like that, and then a toilet in a separate room, a sink over here, and then a very dramatic tub in the corner. I love that for her. Next to Caroline's room is the extra bedroom slash Sheriff Forbes office. So this one's pretty basic, a lot more cool toned all of a sudden, but basically the main event in here is the office. So we have a bunch of filing cabinets, some boxes with things, a computer, but then there's also an extra bed in here. Of course, there is a door into the Jack and Jill over here as well, with a nice walk-in shower, double sink, and a toilet in the corner. And then last but not least, of course, Sheriff Forbes' bedroom, which is nice and cool toned. Again, I love this like nautical kind of color scheme in here. So very blue, white, some gray. I love this bed from Horse Ranch. I think that bed is really beautiful. A cute chair in the corner. I love that chair and the texture of it. It's so good. Some built-in bookcases, a dresser, and then there's a walk-in wardrobe over here as well with a mirror over here. But that is it for the Forbes residence. So this house is up on the gallery. If you want to find it, I highly suggest just searching on the gallery by the title of this build, because my gallery is broken for some reason and people can't seem to either find me at all or find any of my builds, or it will say that my library is empty, which is not true. But if you look for the house by just typing in the title, which is Forbes Residence TBD, you should be able to find it that way. So I built this house in Copperdale on the Little Falls Nook lot, which is a 30 by 30 in the world of Copperdale. So if you want to place it in your game, then that's where it goes. But that's going to do it for today's build. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and turn on post notifications if you want to get notified every time I upload. You can find me over on Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok if you would like. My username over there is Simmary Sims. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!